John 15:17 at first glance seems to be pretty straightforward, and yet it contains a really interesting question. Let's take a look at it. Tauta and telemai humin, hina agapata alelus. These things, note that it's plural. This is part of the issue. These things I am commanding to you all. And then how are you going to translate hina? Well, hina can introduce the content of something. It can also indicate the purpose or result of something. We're going to come back to that. In order that, here's a subjunctive of agapao, in order that you love one another. Okay, here's the fun part in this. Why is tauta plural? Well, remember, tauta can refer both forwards and backwards. So if it's going backwards, it's referring to all the commands that Jesus just gave. And so it's plural that way. And in that case, hina would be result, wouldn't it? So it'd be so that. These things I'm commanding you so that you love one another. Tauta can also point forward. In other words, these things he's referring to is the command to love one another. In that case, the hina is content, and it would be translated as that. So these things, looking backwards, I'm commanding you so that you love one another. If tauta is pointing forward, you would have to go in English with a singular this. This I'm commanding you that you love one another. Now, which one is it? When you look at the different translations, you can see they're split on this. I went with the tauta pointing backwards, these things I command you so that. The NASB, though, takes it as pointing forward. This, the tauta plural in Greek, is singular in English. This I command you. What's that command? That you love one another. Interestingly, the NASB doesn't indicate that they would normally say something like literally these, which is not a comment I like, but this is the problem of thinking the NASB always indicates whenever something isn't exactly what the Greek says. It doesn't always do it. But anyway, ESV points backwards. These things I command so that. NRSV, I'm giving you these commands so that, is pointing backwards as well. But the CSB says pointing forward. This is what I command, love one another. NIV, this is my command, love one another. NET, same. NLT, same. So you can see the translations are interestingly split on this particular issue. So it is really interesting that in what appears to be a very simple verse, you still have to employ some exegetical insight. My problem with the translation of this is what I'm commanding you, love one another, is that tauta's plural. But in the defense of the singular this translation, it could be that what Jesus is saying is that all of his commands, hence tauta's plural, all of my commands are summarized in the singular command, love one another. So the tauta could be a subtle way of saying the command to love is the summary command that includes everything that he's saying. In other words, if we love one another, then we're going to do the other things that he has called us to do. As far as phrasing is concerned, then, you got to decide where to put the hina clause. If you think that the tauta is referring to love one another, then you'd want to put the hina clause under tauta. If you think that it's indicating the result, you would put it under the verb. Have a good class discussion. I think this is interesting.